Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, indeed, shaitan is an open enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. It's important for us to recognize the enemy. Yes, at the moment, the Zionists, the Israelis, we see them as our enemies. But who is behind them? Who created them? Who supports them? For what reason? If we look to the quotes of some of the generals, the retired IDF Major General Yitzhak Brick, he said that all of our missiles, the ammunition, the precision-guided bombs, all the airplanes and bombs, it's all from the US. The minute they turn off the tap, you can't keep fighting. You have no capability. Everyone understands that we can't fight this war without the United States, period. This is what former IDF Major General said. And Joe Biden, the president of US, he said it back in 1986, and he's continued to say this. He says that were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interests in the region. So it's quite clear that it's the US, the leaders of the West and the global superpower of today, who are the enemy behind what is happening in the Muslim world today. The Zionist occupying entity is a shaitan and an enemy to the ummah, yes. But who is behind them? Behind them is a bigger shaitan, the ones who pull all the strings. So we need to look to what this enemy, what the Americans are calling for and saying in this event that is taking place now in Palestine. What are they calling for? They are using the bodies of the children of Gaza as a marketing tool to promote the two-state solution, the deceptive two-state solution. This so-called two-state solution is a trap. It's a political trap. It's a conspiracy against the Ummah. Britain, they began this project, this colonialist project in the Middle East in the early 1900s. And then America took over this project. And for decades, the US has been promoting this so-called two-state solution. Why? Because this solution, and I'll put it in the inverted commas, this solution will achieve her interests in the Middle East. Joe Biden, he said it himself, the naked self-interest of the US should always guide their Middle East policy. They only care about their own self-interest. So what is this interest? What is the interest of the America of having this Zionist entity in the Middle East? It is to have a military colonial outpost in the Muslim lands that acts as a defense wall against the Muslims in the whole of the region, not just against the Palestinians. That is why they support it. That is why they defend it. That is why they strengthen it. Their economy and their values are tied to dominating the Islamic world. This is their interest, and they only care about this. Geert Wilders, the Islamophobic Dutch MP, who is most likely going to become the Prime Minister, I think, of the Netherlands. He said it himself. He said, if Jerusalem falls, Athens and Rome are next. This is why Israel is the central defense front of the West. It is not a territorial conflict but an ideological one, a conflict between the reason of the West and the barbarism of Islamic ideology. So he is saying it himself, that Israel is the defense wall of the West. So this solution, what is it? This two-state solution. On the face of it, it is to give the Palestinians the right to an independent state, alongside Israel, this criminal occupying state, based on what? The 1967 borders. This is what they call for. Meaning, what does this mean? That only Gaza and the West Bank becomes officially Palestine, or the Palestinian state, and the rest is officially Israel. As though only Gaza and West Bank are occupied. This is something really important for us to understand. And when you listen to the news and the media, they're very, very clever in their wording. They call West Bank and Gaza the occupied Palestinian territory. They don't refer to what Israel has taken, most of the land, as occupied territory. They only refer to these two. And so they say this is what we need to give the Palestinians, their own state, and remove the occupation from Gaza and West Bank only. So they do this purposefully, to deceive us, to mislead us, to hide the truth. This so-called solution only solidifies Israel. It only legitimizes them. And the aim of this solution is what? Is to put this agreement through for the Palestinians themselves to approve it. They want the Palestinians themselves to sign the dotted line, sign this land away, to recognize Israel through international agreements, officially give up over 80% of Palestine, and only take what is left of Gaza and West Bank, which is less than 20%. It's just even less than that. If you look at West Bank, it's very patchy land. There's so many checkpoints and roads and all sorts going through it. If you were to be realistic, it's less than 10% that they have. Even worse than this, what does this solution say? Is that the Palestinian state will be disarmed and will have no sovereignty. And the administration of the state will be handed to who? The Palestinian Authority. Mahmoud Abbas, the treacherous Palestinian Authority. This authority has already recognized Israel. They've already signed up to agreeing to the two-state solution. So has the PLO, for that matter. They've legitimized the occupying entity. They protect it from the Muslims. This is their function in the West Bank. And they've acted as a security for Israel for 30 years now. They've been arresting and torturing resistance fighters, extracting information from them and then handing it over to the Yahud, the Jews, the Zionists. They've been doing this for 30 years. And even now, the Palestinian Authority, what are they doing? Shooting the protesters, arresting the protesters, killing them. Themselves, their own, who are protesting against the genocide, they're shooting them. This is who they want to place into the administration as part of the two-state solution. So this is the summary of the two-state solution. And this solution settles Palestine and kills the issue forever, for good. Why do I say that? If you think about it, by agreeing, for the Palestinians themselves to agree to this and sign this dotted line, what does it say? They are signing away to saying there's no more resistance. No more. There's no more liberation. There's no more right of return for the millions of Palestinians who've been thrown out of the land and are in the other lands, Middle East, Europe, America. Nobody can come back. There's no more right of return. The Palestinian issue is killed forever. This is what it means. This is not a solution as they call it. This is a surrender. The two-state solution is to surrender the land of Palestine. So we shouldn't call it the two-state solution. We should call it the two-state surrender. This is what we should be calling it. American politicians and world leaders, since the beginning of this event on October 7th, they've been presenting the two-state solution. They've been presenting it and calling for it. They're saying this is the only way to achieve peace and security. And they're turning this whole situation into a peace and security issue, not an issue of liberation. They're linking this to peace and security. Oh, look, there's fighting going on, there's killing. We need peace and security in the region. What do we need? The two-state solution. This will bring peace and security. Joe Biden, he said it himself. He said the Israeli and the Palestinian people can both live securely and safely and in peace. For that means a two-state solution. This is what America are calling for. We know this. Listen to the wording that he's saying. Now compare this to what the Muslim rulers are saying. The Muslim rulers are parroting the same thing. Jordan's King Abdullah, he said, the only path to a safe and secure future for the people of the Middle East ends with two states. El-Sisi of Egypt, He said the two-state solution is the only way out of the Israeli war on Gaza. Erdogan, he said the same thing. He said regional peace will only be possible by finding a solution for the Israeli and Palestinian people. What is that? The preservation of the two-state solution. And Saudi Arabia, they said the same thing, their foreign ministry. They said the kingdom renews the call to activate a credible peace process that leads to the two-state solution to achieve security and peace. They are saying the same thing as what America is saying. I've just presented to you what the two-state solution is. We know that the two-state solution, the reality of it is that it is a US and Western colonialist trick for us to surrender Palestine. And now you see the Muslim rulers calling for it. In reality, the Muslim rulers are calling to surrender Palestine. Now do you realize what they are? Do they have any concern for the Ummah? Their words against the murderous Zionist entity are empty. Their concern for the people of Gaza are fake. All they are doing is taking advantage of the situation. Can you believe it? It's disgraceful. They are complicit with the US in supporting what the Zionist Jews are doing. Complicit. And we must understand this and we must recognize this. Brothers, this event has been a seismic event for the Ummah. No doubt about it. A seismic event. This event has restored the sight to the Muslims. Muslims are now thinking in a revolutionary way. How do we change the situation? Finally, Muslims are calling for change, real change, radical change. This event, inshallah, can awaken the Islamic awareness in the Ummah. When we see the jihad of the Palestinians, the sacrifice, the sabr, the resilience, the taqwa and tawakkul of the Palestinians, all of this is doing what? It's generating this yearning to return to Islam and the Islamic solution. Because now we realize that it's only Islam that can bring us honor. Only Islam that can bring us protection. And this is why America are so adamant to not allow the resistance to prevail. Because if it does, what happens? It evokes the emotions of victory in the Ummah, and anything that evokes the emotions of victory in the Ummah is a danger and a threat to the West and the colonialists. So dear brothers, this is why the two-state surrender solution is so dangerous. And this is why I've decided to dedicate this khutbah to it. I know it's a very political issue, and usually when you go and listen to khutbahs, it's all about spiritual things. But this is so critical for us. We have to address this issue right now. It's absolutely critical that we understand this deceiving solution that is being presented to us. We need to know what it looks like, what it means. We need to know the Sharia position on this. Each of us need to know what is the Sharia position on this agreement and then make the Ummah aware of it. We know that the two-state solution, it requires surrendering land and recognizing this Zionist entity's right to Palestine. This is what it means if you sign up to this, including parts of West Bank and Al-Quds. This is clear-cut. This is what it means. In addition to that, what this solution does is it's an obstacle for future liberation of the land. So what did the scholars of Islam say? The scholars of Islam have unanimously agreed and explained in detail that it is absolutely haram to relinquish the land of Al-Isra wal-Miraj, or any land, Islamic land for that matter. Any part of it, it's haram. And to recognize the occupation is absolutely haram as well. It's forbidden to even have temporary truce with an entity that is occupying you from the Islamic Sharia. It's forbidden. Why? Because of this land is sanctified. And not only that, it is a trust, a waqf. This land is a waqf, if you understand this, for all Muslims. An Islamic waqf for the whole entire Muslim ummah, not just the Palestinians, the whole ummah. Until when? Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is what this land represents. Meaning that no individual Muslim, organization, ruler, even the Khalifa of the Muslims have the right to give away even an inch of this land. This is what it means. So surrendering even an inch of it to the kafir enemy is completely forbidden, and we should know this. Going back to what the Muslim rulers, if you remember what the Muslim rulers say, let's listen to what a real Muslim ruler says about the land of Palestine. When Theodore Herzl, the father of Zionism, sent a message to Caliph Sultan Abdul Hamid II, he sent a message to him. He also then offered money, and he also visited him. 3 times he offered for the land of Palestine. What was the response of Sultan Abdul Hamid II? He said, "While I am alive, I would rather push a sword into my body than see the land of Palestine cut and given away from the Islamic Khilafah. I will not sell a single inch of the country because it is not mine, it belongs to all the Muslims. Let the Jews keep their millions. If the Islamic State is ever partitioned, they can get Palestine for free, but that will happen over our dead bodies. Even if you paid me the weight of earth in gold, I would never agree. I would never bring shame upon Muslims. If you want to buy Palestine, know that the price is the blood of all the Muslims." This is the real response. But instead our rulers are saying, let's agree to the 2-state solution and give away most of Palestine away. So dear brothers, my final messages to you is that all of the sacrifices and resilience of our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Palestine that we're seeing, all of this, if we are to accept the 2-state solution, it is a betrayal of all of them. A betrayal of the brave resistance, a betrayal of the blood of those who have been martyred and wounded. What is also a betrayal is for the Muslims to stand by and just be mere spectators and watch the displacement, the genocide, the massacre committed by the Zionists. We fight jihad either for victory or martyrdom, not for martyrdom alone. Think about that statement. Jihad is not just to be martyred, it's for victory or martyrdom. So we cannot forsake and abandon the Muslims of Gaza and Palestine while they just await for martyrdom. We cannot expect the people of Gaza to achieve victory in an unequal war. The Ummah, we need to support them with more than just emotions and sadaqah and dua. The Ummah, we need to expose those collaborating Muslim rulers and regimes. Remove our support and loyalty for them and to them. Overthrow them. Take back control of our lands and militaries to come to the aid of our brethren. This is the only way we can achieve victory. Repel the enemy and make the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the highest. This is the duty of the entire Ummah, not just the Palestinians. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "O you who have believed, what is the matter with you when you are asked to march forth in the cause of Allah? You cling firmly to the land. Do you prefer the life of this world over the hereafter? The enjoyment of this worldly life is insignificant compared to the hereafter. If you do not march forth, He will afflict you with a painful torment and replace you with other people. You are not harming Him in the least, and Allah is most capable of everything. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم." Please make the adhan, inshallah.